Today, as you might have noticed, all of YouTube has come together to save the oceans through the power of friendship, and also through the power of you donating money to Team Seas. But here's the thing. I didn't become the world's richest disembodied voice by giving away my money willy-nilly. I want to know exactly what I'm getting, and you should too. That's why when MrBeast told me we were raising money to save the oceans, I said, but how many oceans are we saving, best friend in the whole wide world? And he said, don't call me that. So I decided to do some research myself and typed how many oceans are there into Google. Well, it turns out that question is more complicated than it sounds. To begin with, it's hard to even define what's part of the ocean and what's just a glorified puddle. A lot of other YouTubers might be telling you today that the ocean's all one big connected body of water, but they're either lying to you or they just don't waste as much time looking up technicalities on Wikipedia as I do. There are bodies of water connected to the ocean that aren't ocean, like the Great Lakes, and there are bodies of water completely disconnected from the ocean that are ocean, namely the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea. This is because those two inland seas are technically on top of oceanic crust. They were once connected to the rest of the ocean before continental drifts tried to demote them to big salty lakes. So some people argue there are actually three oceans: the Caspian Sea, the Black Sea, and the World Ocean, but those people are called annoying nerds who look up technicalities on Wikipedia, and we don't listen to them. For the most part, we can all agree that the ocean is this place, the ocean. But just how many oceans are there in the ocean? Well, that's where things get sticky. Just like the Beatles, you've got the classic four: Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, and Arctic. But also like the Beatles, there's actually an ugly fifth one whose existence has been covered up: the Southern. If we're going by the way that the ocean naturally divides itself with currents and gyres, the Southern Ocean actually makes a ton of sense. It's bounded by the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, which separates it from the surrounding ocean. We would also be left with naturally defined oceans here, 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 and here, and then a couple of bonus oceans here, here, and maybe here. Of course, that would be way too simple and make way too much sense, so the countries of the world joined forces to invent some completely arbitrary borders instead. These are drawn by the International Hydrographic Organization, and, not to give away too much of the International Hydrographic magic, they basically just draw straight lines between the continents. Now, despite the fact that many other scientific organizations have recognized the Southern Ocean, some just this year, the IHO still won't sign off on it. Why? Well, for the same reason that the FAA won't sign off on my emotional support hand grenade: bureaucratic red tape. It actually has nothing to do with the Southern Ocean itself. In fact, the IHO used to recognize the Southern Ocean for about 2 decades in the 30s and 40s, and they've been trying to reinstate it since 2000. But the proposed 4th edition of Limits of Oceans and Seas, which includes the Southern Ocean, can't be published because it's too controversial. A lot of people think it's because the entire report is dedicated to O.J. Simpson, but it's actually because of a naming dispute. Specifically, that Japan and South Korea can't agree on what to call this body of water. As my contribution to bettering the world's oceans, I would like to formally propose a name that both countries can agree on, so we can finally move forward and accept the Southern Ocean as the world's 5th ocean. Now, if you would like to better the world's oceans, then listen up. No matter how many of these things we've got, we know for sure that they're in trouble. Like, dire trouble. 8 million pieces of plastic are dumped into the ocean every single day, and they don't go away. They end up in the fish that we eat and the water that we drink, and the problem is getting worse every year. By 2050, it's estimated that there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish, and to put that into perspective, there are a lot of fish. That's why we're partnering with Team Seas with a goal to raise $30 million by the end of the year. That money will go to 2 ocean cleanup nonprofits, the Ocean Conservancy and the Ocean Cleanup, with each dollar translating to an entire pound of trash out of the world's oceans, rivers, and beaches. The team behind Team Seas has put a tremendous amount of work into setting up independent monitoring, assuring that both these nonprofits are staying true to their word, accurately and effectively removing a pound of trash per dollar by using the money to organize trash pickups all around the globe and to send efficient trash collecting barges to some of the world's worst polluting rivers. You don't have to donate a lot to make an impact here. Even $1 for 1 pound of trash will help, so click the button on screen or head to the link in the description to donate.